A very good afternoon to everyone and a warm welcome on behalf of Elsina. I am Raju Goel, Secretary General of Elsina, and I am very pleased to welcome all the participants today in this webinar, which is the topic, on sustainable electronics, and we'll be talking about relevant recycling standards and global practices and global best practices. Before I'll just say a few words about Elsina first. We are a 56-year-old organization serving the electronics manufacturing industry, and our focus is on value addition and high technology and new product development, etc. We have been working also on e-waste management and sustainable electronics for a long time now, though this is still a relatively new subject in India. But with the growing industry, its relevance is growing very rapidly because it is important that electronics remains green and sustainable. Because ultimately we have to ensure that our environment is protected. Otherwise, there is no meaning of development. So we are very happy to be organizing. This is the second seminar or the second the webinar in this series. The earlier one was on standard practices in electronics manufacturing ecosystem and on end of life issues of products. And today we are talking about relevant recycling standards and global best practices. My hearty welcome to Dr. Sandeep Chatterjee, who's our expert speaker for today. And we are partnering with SERI. Dr. Chatterjee is the senior advisor in SERI. SERI is the Sustainable Electronics and Recycling International USA. It is a global organization which serves the industry by promoting best practices in this area. Dr. Chatterjee has formerly been Senior Director and Group Coordinator in the Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. And he has got vast experience in the government of almost 35 years, where he has been working very actively on policy making and has been a techno administrator. When I say that, I mean that he has been working on research, on promoting the outcomes of the research, and also working on policies which have been promoting the industry. So it has been a very I would say that it's a very wide spectrum of activities and expertise that he has. He has also worked as the head of the cyber law and the data governance group in the MeitY, which is the Ministry of Electronics. And he has been very active in this domain. He has established more than 20 centers of excellence in various domains, such as quantum materials, graphene, 2D materials, etc. And he's one of the well-known experts in 3D printing in the country. With those few words, I would like to now leave the mic to Dr. Chatterjee and for his expert views and his talk on the subject. And the subject, as we all know, is relevant recycling standards and global best practices. Over to you, Dr. Chatterjee. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raju Goelji. It's my pleasure to use the Elsina forum for discussing one of the important aspect of electronic ecosystem. As you all know, electronics is growing, and many of the industries or many of the sectors are embracing that. With the global development, economic development, as you know, without electronics it is not possible. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So electronics, last day I discussed how the development of the electronics has taken a different standards from the design stage, component, its functionality, environment, performance, safety, and also the end of life ROHS, restricted or hazardous substance, CE marking. So electronics, if you see as a entity, it is a most green product, as you all know, and it is being used in a different stages due to the disruptive technology like IoT based technology, artificial intelligence, robotics, all those quantum technology, all those things are coming. So electronics, we will see it will be changing. It is changing and it will also change. So enter that ecosystem. Actually, it is always better to learn what is the global best practices, how it is being handled there, because we have found in our country somehow end of life management are not, it's still premature, I should say. It is a nurturing and lot of issues still required to be fixed. As I mentioned, now electronics is not standalone, it is connected. So every devices are connected from various part of the world. So it is carrying a lot of data as well. So that is also another issue. So how the data could be protected, how the data privacy can be maintained, and the international rules are also there on data. In our country also, DPDP Act has been enacted from 11th August 2023. So that is still there. So we should also know what is the ramification of having the refurbished product, and in the recycling stage, whether the data is getting breached, and what will be the legal ramification. All those things required to, actually we should understand global best practices, how it is being done in other parts of the world, developed world. So it is evident that it is growing, and somehow the global demand for electronics will continue to rise. Device become obsolete very fast. If you are talking about the artificial intelligence, so the device functionality requires to be changed in months, not in even a year. So it is going to have a different electronics in very fast. So now it is all the more required that end of life management should be robust. It should follow all the global standard, so that we should not end up having a environmental disaster, as well as it has lot of precious metals, minerals. So that require also to be extracted back for our economic growth. So that should be ensured. So that is how today we are discussing this subject. Now, the mindset of electronic recycling, still it is in linear somehow. We are taking the this thing, make, use, dispose, and creating e-waste. So this is the linear mode. So if you are talking about 1970s or 80s electronic design, we used to follow design, the engineers are used to follow how the product should function. They should not bother about the material, choice of material, and what is their life cycle analysis, how it will behave after the end of life. So now this is the design consideration. So your design should be such that it should be recycling friendly, refurbishment friendly. Some of the hazardous material can be eliminated at the design stage. All those aspects required to be seen when you are designing the product, and when you are developing the electronics. Now, another very interesting figure, after Wased Convention, who are the signatory, India is also a signatory, 168 countries, they have their own electronic waste rules. In our country also we have a rule, and we thought that the name of the rule is also e-waste management rules. So we thought that after end of life, we can manage that is sufficient. But actually it is not possible. You cannot manage the e-waste once it has been generated. That is for sure. So what we should do? Our thinking should be sustainable. Our thinking should be circular. So how circular, as I mentioned, that from the design stage, we should see how long some of the metals or minerals or the rare earth we are taking, how long it can stay, and how many uses. So now concept is material optimization. So if you are using certain materials in a product, how long the materials life will be. So in that way, we are thinking the product so that after first use, if I'm not interested, so who can use it? What should be the global best practices to sanitize the data so that it can be safe to go for another hand? So all those aspects is required so that product can be used longer, as long as it is suitable. Then you can take the recycling. Then recycling also should ensure the resource efficiency so that maximum of the minerals on rare earth or the valuables can be extracted back. We can put them to the fresh electronic designing or the manufacturing unit. So that is the circular economy. In our country also, the Government of India is committed. In 2021, Ministry of Electronics and IT, I was fortunate to draft a action plan and submit it to the NITI Aayog. And NITI Aayog come out with 11 different circular economy action plan. So e-waste is one of them. So our government also committed for circular design, circular economy, and it is taking a different now step. Presently also there is another committee is working on NITI Aayog for having the second version of the circular economy action plan. If you see internationally, what are the different stages products are being used? After first use, it can be used as returns, repairs, trading, upgrades, remarketing, recycling. All those activity are the different business cases. But those business are happening in the outside, developed world. In our country also they are happening. But in our country, most of these activities are happening in informal stages. So we are making shortcut to many of the things which may be dangerous regarding the data and also the hazardous material or the environmental safeguarding. So those things required to be seen and amended. Now, if you see the global best practice, as I mentioned, it could be refurbishment, it could be your recycling. These are the two options. So the collection and storage, where we should see that harmful leaching of the chemical not there. We should not take the electronic products to the landfill. That is also not a good thing. It can leach afterwards. Then, as I mentioned, data security and privacy. This is one of the important thing. And there are standards internationally like R2. SERI owns the R2 standard. There are other standard east towards. So they are following the proper sanitation method. So it will be certified that there is no data available. If you are doing the factory setting of your mobile phone, smartphone, or your hard disk has been formatting, that is not guaranteeing you that data will not remain. So data can be retrieved thereafter also. So that is how whenever we are talking about data breaching, it can happen in the recycler end, in the refurbishment end. So that also requires certain standard, and internationally it is being done by ITAT company. So they are R2 certified ITAT company. In our country also few ITAT are operational in Bangalore, Chennai, in some of the places. But this is new in our country, I should say. Then the repair and testing standards. So if you are repairing a product, so the quality of the parts, spare parts, latest software, firmwares has been already taken from the original equipment manufacturers or not, how it is performing. So the test should be done in such a way that this is almost a new product. Then the supply chain transparency, we should see the parts and materials are coming from a standard company, and they are also following some global standard. Refurbished product and consumer should see that there is they should be sensitized that it is cost saving, and also it is helping the environment. Collaboration of the manufacturers, because if you are really interested to have a original spare parts and the original software, so the OEM with the refurbisher and the collaboration with OEM is must. there are few innovation is also going on, very interestingly, that if you are not getting any spare parts, so some of the guys are 3D printing the components, and which is identical of the of the product, and they are replacing that after the laser cleaning and robotic disassembly without touching the device, and the performance of the testing has been done through AI module. So this is another innovation or upgradation of the refurbishment business that is giving a different user satisfaction. Now there are some environmental sustainability that is also required to having a longer life of the developed product. So the optimized raw material now consideration is not the optimize the product, optimize the raw material, because as you all know, smartphone requires 69 element of the periodic table. So many of the elements are not are very scarce. You will not get more often. So we should see how long that materials can be used in a particular product. Now the proper disassembly, if the disassembly are not proper with a global standard, so we may lose the component, or we can use the toxic part handling improperly, or the usable component can be broken. So those things require, say, special handling. Material recovery, if you are recycling, so you should see what is the resource efficiency, so that gold, silver, copper, palladium, whatever the elements can be extracted, it should have a highest yield and highest percentage. Hazardous component require a different treatment, so they should also follow some international level of confidence and functionality. Now the compliance and regulation, there are this is also an industry. Both the industries are actually industry, refurbishment industry or recycling industry. It should follow all the ISO standard like quality management system, environmental management system 14001, 45001, occupational health and safety, ROS and WEEE, and also recycling standard like R2 or E-Stewards. All those compliance and regulation these units should follow. And the global certification, as I mentioned, R2, E-Stewards, TCO, all this will actually ensure that they are taking care of the environmental, economical sustainability, environment, health and safety. All those things are ensured in refurbishing and recycling unit. What are the different global standards? So standardization of the process. So several international bodies have laid down, actually the standardization started from the Basel Convention. So after the signatory of the Basel Convention, it is actually restricting the transboundary of the electronics. Many of the developed world are sending the electronics in the third world country as a donation. They are actually the electronic waste. So that is how it has started. Then the standard practice has been started, so that any unit, recycling unit or refurbished unit should be showing that you are processing that electronics, or you are repairing it, refurbishing it for the second use. So all those things are now ensured. Now that is how the standard importance are going. Now the e-waste disposal. So the landfill should be banned, so that the mandate should be the recycling and safe disposal, and the producer responsibility, one of the policy instrument like extended producer responsibility, EPR, in our country also it is famous now. So that is the responsibility of the manufacturers to take back the electronics, hand over to the right recycler and refurbishers, so that it should be used in a proper manner, disposed proper manner, or it should go to the second life in a proper after data sanitation and all. Now, if I now go, these are all global best practices. Even now talking about the relevant standards, as I mentioned, ISO 9001 quality management system, ISO 14001 environmental management system, ISO 45001, that is occupational health safety management system. Then comes R2 V3 version 3. This is the responsible recycling under SERI is the SERI owns this standard. Now RIOS, the Recycling Industry Operating Standards, and many other standards are also there to take care of the recycling and refurbishing part of the electronics. Now, I'm giving you some brief about the standards, which is important for the recycling industry or refurbishment industry. I told it is also an industry, so the quality management system is relevant here also. ISO 9001 international standard that specifies the requirement of quality management system, published in 1987 by International Organization of Standardization, like ISO. This agency composed of more than 160 countries, standard officers from the 160 country, more than 160 countries. They discuss it and develop this standard. They are working, those officials are from the national standard bodies. Now 9001 2015, this version is operational from September 2015. Now, most popular standard and ISO 9000 series, and only standard in a series that organization can certify. More than 1 million organizations have already taken in 160, more than 160 countries, this standard. So this is very popular among the 9000 series. Now, if I see some brief about this standard, it works on plan, do, check, and act methodology, provides a process-oriented approach, documenting, reviewing the structure, responsibilities and procedures requirement, achieve effective quality management for an organization. Specific section of the standard contain information on the topic where we have a requirement of QMS, including the document information, planning, determination process, responsibility of the management of the resource, and including the human resource and the organizational environment, product realization, including the step from design to delivery, measurement, analysis, improvement of the QMS through the activity, and also the internal audits and corrective and preventive action. Now, if you see the 7 main principle of ISO, it is actually customer focus, leadership, engagement of people, process approach, improvement, experience, evidence-based decision making, and relationship management. So these are all 7 main principles on which this ISO 9000 works. Organization use the standard to demonstrate to ability consistently for the product and service and meet customer and regulatory requirement. They can have or adopt these standards. It applies the organization of all size. It can be applied to big organizations, small, medium, all types and all size. And it is the present version is operational from September 14, 2018. That 2015 version. Then all the other older version, ISO 9001 2008, will be converted to this 2015 version from 2018. Now, it helps, how it is benefiting the company. It helps the organization to ensure their customer consistently receive the high quality product and service, which benefits the customer satisfaction and management of the employee. And if you are having this standard, it is actually effective QMS, companies adopt, then they can actually organize the processes effectively. They have a very effective QMS, improve the efficiency and process, create satisfied customers, management, and employees, and continually improve their processes and save the cost. So many new innovation or R&D also, if you are having the QMS, they will indicate this the process repetitive. This can be eliminated. All those idea you can get, and actually you can optimize your process and you can save your cost. Now, if you are having, you can demonstrate the ISO 9001 in your organization. So it will follow the guideline, ISO 9001 standard guideline, fulfill own requirement, meet customer requirements, statutory and regulatory requirement, and maintain the document, enhance an organization credibility towards the customers and its product and service and meet the expectation. And one case study in a USA, Nevada, one school they have shown, Clark County School District, they have adopted ISO 9001, and they have found they have saved from the regulatory employees training, all the different type of cost avoidance and actual expenditure, US dollar 174 million they have saved in 10 years. So actually, this is one ISO 9001 is a very popular one. So they have calculated if you are actually doing the standard practice, how organization can save money also. Now I'm coming to the next one, because if we are talking about R2 standard, responsible recycling for a e-waste recycling or refurbishment standard, prerequisite is you should have 3 ISO standard. One is 9001, quality management system. Another is 14001, that is the environment management system. And last one is 45001, that is your occupational health management and safety. So these 3 ISO standard you should have, then you can take the R2 standard. So that is why I'm just discussing 3 standard, basic standard of ISO. Then I'll be giving you some idea about R2. So 14001 is actually international recognized EMS standard, provide organization a framework to design, implement around the environment management system, continually improve and their environmental performance. So adherence to they are taking the proactive measures to minimize their environmental footprint, comply with the relevant legal requirement, achieve their environment objective. And framework encompasses about the various aspects of resource uses, waste management to monitor the environmental performance, involving the stakeholders and the environmental commitment. Standard undergoes revision every 5 to 10 years. An organization undergoes the surveillance audits annually and the rectification audit by every 3 years. This is the basic about 14001. Now, this is 6 elements or principle: environmental policy, planning, implementation, study and correction, management review, and continual improvement. These are the key elements of the ISO 14001. Now, who can obtain this? Different sector of industry, working in manufacturing, production, process industry, energy, utility, extractive sectors, agriculture, fishing, forestry, food, producers, construction, building farms. So all sector, healthcare, hospitality, they can have this environmental management system standard 14001. So what are the benefits? It can enhance the environmental performance. So noticeable reduction in in environmental damages, the production, resource consumption, pollutant emission, regulatory compliance aid to understanding the meeting environmental legal, helping the organization to avoid the potential fine and penalties and legal action. Risk management and provide the identify, assess the manage the environment organization from the potential liabilities and unexpected disruption. Cost saving, efficient resource uses, waste reduction, streamlined process, and significant cost reduction, offsetting the cost of implementation and process management. Operational excellence, the principle of the continuous improvement embodied to lead to the streamlined operation, waste minimization, and enhanced productivity. Stakeholder customers, so marketplace increasing, valuing the green initiative. It can certificate that can differentiate a business. So you can differentiate with the other your competitor or peer group, bolstering the reputation and fostering the stakeholders and customer. So these are all some of the benefits if you are having 14001 and 2015. Certification process typically involves a gap analysis, implementation through a certifying body, then standard internal audit, management review, and finally certifying body is an external body who can audit the process. Many certification bodies like CBs are accredited, which means through the accreditation body. So another body will actually accredit the certifying body, so have a third party confirmation. So there has been independent confirmation of the competence of the CB. So organization needs a logo to demonstrate the certificate and make contact the certifying body for having this certificate. Standards should always be referred as, so how you are displaying the standard, this is also a standard method. So you have to write certified to ISO 1401 2015. You cannot write any other text on your website or the letterhead and other things. Now, the third one, the occupational health and safety standard. This is 45,001 and 2018. This is also international, one of the best standard of OH&S system. Provide manage the risk and improvement of the occupational health and safety. Establish OHS policy, objective, planning, implementation, operation, auditing, and renew. So each organization should have all those parameters. Key elements include the leadership commitment, worker participation, hazards identification, risk assessment, legal and regulatory compliance, emergency plan, incident investigation, and continual improvement. These also work with plan, do, check, act methodology to systematically manage health, safety risk. Applies to the organization of all size and can be integrated with other ISO. That is also beauty of it. So you can integrate with the other ISO certificate. Now, who can take it? There are many different sectors: construction, manufacturing, oil, gas, mining, agriculture. Now, benefit framework to systematically manage operational health and safety risk, reduce the workplace incident and injuries, demonstrated commitment to worker health and safety, ensured compliance with OH&S regulation, increased organizational resilience, continual improvement of operational health and safety performance. Now, step to obtain this certificate can be obtained through the third-party certifying body. Certification validates that organization has implemented the standard properly, laid down standard with the compliant with the OHS management system in place. Companies implementing ISO 45001 can choose whether they can go through a independent assessment before going to CB or some consultant. Likewise, ISO standards organization can choose to implement standard to benefit the best practices in contents. So reassurance of their client and the customer. Many CBs are accredited through the accreditation body similar to 14,001, and they can help us. So there will be a trust level that accreditation body is actually validating the CB's competence. Now, if you see the difference, because before that 45,001, there is another occupational health and standard was this OSHAS. So what are the difference? So you can see there are some of the cases you have a limited scope. Here the enhanced cost emphasis. So 45,001 is much better than the OSHAS. Now, what is the difference between the three standards I have just discussed? As I mentioned, 9001 is basically quality management system. Second one is environmental management system. And the last one is actually occupational health management system. So 9001 improve the process, procedure, consistent, the high quality goods and service, ensure the customer satisfaction, and environmental management system increases the efficiency, maximize the resource, and minimize the environmental impact. And the last one, minimize the workplace risk, proactively improve health and safety, and maximize the workplace efficiency. And of course, that will give you the enhanced productivity. Now, as I mentioned, for getting recycling standard, one of the best popular standard is R2. I'll be showing why. So that requires prerequisite 3 ISO. I have already discussed. Now I'll be discussing the all recycling standard available in the world. One is CENELEC. It is famous in European Union. Second one is R2. I'll be discussing in details. Another one is Eastwards, and last one is Australia standards. So if you see here, you see that there are the number of countries. Australia standard 2 countries adopted, 47 facility. Eastwards started from USA again, like in R2, but it is popular now 4 countries. 111 facilities have taken. CENELEC and WEEE LabX is a European standard. They have taken by 16 European member and 192 certificate operators. But if you see R2, that has been accepted by 42 countries, and we have a 1,218 facility adopted the R2 standard. So that is why R2 is popular. Now, if you see all those list of standards I discussed, many of the best practices has been adopted in R2. So that is why it is more comprehensive standard. Now, what is R2? Actually, SERI is an organization, is a non-profit organization. Name is Sustainable Electronics Recycling International, started from USA. They owns the standards, responsible recycling. What is the mission of SERI? Actually promotes resource preservation, the well-being of the natural environment, and the health and safety of the workers and communities, so that the world where the electronic products are reused and recycled. Now, primary goal and objective: protect Mother Earth, protect worker, protect the citizen of the world, and circular approach of the electronic waste, and sustainable electronics industry. Now, how the standard has been developed? It has started first. It has started multi-stakeholder discussion in 2005. There is a technical advisory committee having members from various group of industries. They discuss this, and first draft has been put up, and we got the public comment. And the first version of the standard started from 2008. Then the second version, again, a lot of issues has been discussed, and a lot of challenges and opportunity you have seen. Then you have embraced them into the second version. So we have a R2 second version. It has started from 2013, and very new version, the last version, it is starting from 2020, third version. That is how we are writing now. R2 V3 is operational. So as I mentioned, SERI is a non-profit, ANSI accredited organization, standard developers, and oversight body of R2. Now, what is the principle? R2's principle: promotion of sustainable electronics through the hierarchy of management strategy, environmental protection, and workers' health and safety. Now, how it is different than other standards I already mentioned? So it is more than a management system. Audit is more than verification system and outcome-based and procedure. Greater emphasis has been given on outcome and effectiveness. Auditors training provided by the SERI discusses about the R2 requirement, focuses on the audit trail, very interesting, and evaluate the record and document, and it can see if your material is flowing from one unit to the another unit. It ensures that unit should also be the R2 certificate. So it is not that how the material is flowing, it will be audited on the same unit only. So as I mentioned, all those business are popular around the world. In our country also it is being happening, maybe in the informal hand, but the reuse and recycling is the only way you can extend the life of the product or extracted back the materials from the product. So these are all different, business means. So entire process R2 are applied. R2 standard addresses the best practices requirement for environmental protection, data security, legal compliance with the local, national, international regulation, and health safety of the worker and their family and communities. Now, what standard covers? Mostly ICT product, which is having or dealing with the data. So we are not having now product which are consumer goods or the white goods. But all the electronic or ICT products which are dealing with the data, and the first use of through the end of life, and focus on effectiveness and outcome of the system and the procedures. Now, what standard requires? Requirement pertains to the responsible reuse, responsible recycling of the used electronics, of the primary and information technology unit or product. Requirement of applying the first use of the product, destroying, test, repair, remarketing of the device, all the way through on one user to the another user, and also recovery of the end of life electronics. So everywhere in this space, R2 would be important. So it can be seen that many type of business processes like collectors, brokers, traders, manual dismantler, these two bullet at the present version of the EOS rule, we are not recognizing in India, but this is recognized in the other part of the world. So these two bullets are not possible in our country. The third bullet, materials recovery process, EOS recycler and refurbishers. Last three bullets in India, we can go for a R2 certificate. But only thing, you should have a legally registered in that country's, environment ministry like CPCB. Here it is CPCB. So the informal unit cannot take the R2 certificate. So the R2 applies to the facility of reuse, repair, and recycling chain. So in that certificate, we have two main, vertical. One is core requirement. This will apply to all the, operation or business. And process requirement, it will depend upon your own activity. So there you can use that process activity. So the structure of R2 adopts the many different facilities, and the additional process is only that facilities which are, your operation. And so the certificate will be tailored, their certification based on their specific uses. So the core, as I mentioned, for everybody, and process, there are 7 different appendix: downstream recycling, data sanitation, test repairing, specialty electronic reuse, marketing, materials recovery, brokering, and very recently, apart from the ICT product, which is taking care of data, R2 or rather SERI has taken PV solar panel also on one of the product. So these are all different core requirements: scope, hierarchy, responsibility management strategy, EHS management, legal and other requirement, tracking throughput, sorting, categorization and processing, data security, focus material, facility requirement, and transport. So all those process, all those core requirement for everybody. Then additional process as per your activity. So the activities could be downstream recycling chain. So the appendix A will be applicable if you are in the refurbishment unit or testing repairing unit. So data sanitation will be important. Test repair is a C, appendix C. Specialty electronics reuse, materials recovery, brokering, and finally photovoltaic PV material. So these are all appendix depending on your operation. So R2 certificate, if you are obtaining a R2 certificate, what actually you are covering? One unit. Environment, health, safety management, reuse, recycling, recover, recycling, responsible management, legal requirement, on-site environment, health, safety, R2 focus material. This focus material is actually the hazardous material. Reusable equipment and components, tracking throughput, data destruction, storage, security, insurance, closure, financial responsibility, transport, and record keeping. So all those things are covered if you are going for a R2 certificate. This is popular in our country as well as for last 1 decade. There are more than 50 units in India also got the R2 certificate. Since it is getting popular, recycling standard for 42 countries. So India is also, this number is growing. So why R2 in India? Complement to the EUS rule 2022, quality of the EUS recycling under the rule, management system, legal compliance requirement and monitoring, opens new market opportunity and global businesses, and works with the certification infrastructure in India. So it is, it is complementing the EUS rule 2022, increase the material recovery. It is pushing the circular economy and environmentally sound managed process. Now, use the R2 certificate to identify environmental sound manage, that is ESM practice under the EUS rule. Prefer R2 certificate for registered recycler. And very recently, SERI tie up with NABCB, that is under QCI, quality, that is National Accreditation Board of Quality certifying body. So they are the partner of SERI in India. And we are also onboarding one of the Indian CV in Gurgaon, URS. So that the Indian companies can get a affordable, certification cost, so that we can enhance the more number in Indian market. Now, this is one myth and reality. R2 standards and certification is not for Indian market. It is a myth. R2 standard are global standards. It taking care of entire gamut of environmental sound management practice, data sanitation, all those things which is required in India as well. Getting R2 certificate is very expensive. It is not, earlier it was little expensive. Now we are having Indian counterpart trying to reduce the cost. R2 certification process is hard. It is a meticulously designed and benchmark of the facility. So it requires certain process, but once it will be developed, it is not that hard. Now, why it is unique? So it takes care of worker health, safety, quality control, environmental protection, data security and control, legal compliance and sustainable and reuse. Many standard that has different, good practices that has been included in this R2 certificate. So many things we can cover if you are having the R2 certificate. Now R2 standard incorporates the best practices. Now, what are the help SERI website is giving? It's very interesting to see. There are free material about R2. It can be downloaded and read. There are many videos, knowledge base, articles, podcasts that is also available in that SERI website. R2 audit training open to the facility and consultant. Of course, this is a paid service. SERI support, email, phone, video meeting. This is also possible. An auditor training course. There is a focus key auditor training course. We are actually interested to enhance number of auditor in Indian market as well as the consultant. So there are paid course, and also we are trying to give some subsidy for the Indian and Asian market, so that one can avail or see. Now I'll be discussing what are the benefit. So if you are the manufacturers, so aligning with the R2 certified recycler or refurbisher, you are actually simplifying the compliance national and international level. End of life legal compliance will be easier, guaranteed data sanitation, and ensure the data security and priority, full tracking of throughput of the recycling process, commitment of the corporate social responsibility, confidence of the customers and investors, negative environmental and health impacts you are reducing, safer and more sustainable electronic device reuse and recovery, make the electronics more conscious and the product of end of life are also, as a manufacturer's OEM, you're ensuring they are safe. Now, this is the recycler's benefit, compliance, domestic and international. So you can demonstrate that, assist OEM for the due diligence of their end of life electronics, encourage public confidence and third party review, and ensure the accountability and adherence for the industry standards, health, safety, and workers, improve the competitiveness with the R2 certification, increasing the access to the quality, reusable, and refurbished equipment, minimize the energy use and other environmental impact associated with the mining virgin materials, encourage the safe and effective recovery and the reuse of the electronic product, guards the downstream control of the recycling chain. This is very vulnerable in our country as well. Reduces the environmental and public health and minimize the liability of the encourage the insurance cost of the recycler. So these are all some of the, I am showing the website of the SERI, which we can access from the directly from SERI website. And we are already aligned with the 12 consultant in our country with R2 certified. So these are all website, SERI website. And I mentioned that NACB is our accredited body, partner with SERI. That's all from my side, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chatterjee.